Welcome to our first episode of Shade the Sun.
Sounds of your freedom don't change like the seasons when shade turns to sun. When two become one, you follow your dreams.
I've been wanting to do this series for probably longer than a year, and I finally decided, let's go for it. We're still working on things, lighting issues, sound. It's a work in progress. But what I want to do is I want to examine a lot of spiritual and mystical ideas, as well as just basic ideas of how to improve our lives. There's a lot of information that's being put out there. Whether it has to do with things like mysticism and spiritualism, or something that's even as, well, I don't want to say mundane, but as common as life improvement skills. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of books, a lot of video series, a lot of whatever. And I've looked at a lot of what is out there, and some of it is really good, and some of it smells. I mean, there's self-help out there that helps no one. So what I want to do is I want to take some of the best of what I've discovered and present it, and I want to take some of the things that I think aren't so good but are very popular and kind of put a spotlight on those things. I want things to well, that's why I call this Shade the Sun. I want to cover everything in the spectrum. And one of the things that I want to look at first, and this is something that I am going to hit really hard initially, is something called the law of attraction. There is, if you don't know what law of attraction is, it's this idea that you think about something and it comes to you. So, I used to teach at a community college, so I love using a board. So, this is you, let's say, or me, or anybody. Okay? And over here we have our heart's desire. I'm not really good at drawing things. Let's just... My heart has a point over here. Okay? And we can put a little bow around it. Okay? This is whatever it is in our life we want. And the law of attraction says that if you think about this enough, it will go straight to you. And as a matter of fact, this is happening all the time, and whatever is in your head, whatever you are thinking about, is what comes to you. So all you got to do is think about what you want, and it will happen. Well, that's the most basic form of the law of attraction. Everybody puts their spin on it. Everybody says, well, you have to visualize. Then someone says, well, visualization is good, but you got to really want it. Then there are other people who are pragmatic about it. Say, well, you got to want it, but then you have to take action toward it. There are lots of ideas, and I have even upset some people because I proposed the idea that this thing called a law of attraction, if it's truly a law, then it's subjective, or it's subjected to other forces in the universe. And you see, the people who write the books, the people who tell you all you got to do is think about it and it will come, that can happen, yes. I've had examples of that in my life. But then the next day you think about it the same way and it doesn't come. And all the gurus, all these New Age people will say, well, it's your fault. If you thought about what you wanted one day and it came, you might have thought that you did the same thing the next day, but you obviously did something wrong because it didn't happen. One of the people who I think is really good at this is someone who channels an entity called Abraham. The gestalt of the two is called Abraham Hicks. I mean, I like this woman. I like a lot of things she says. However, her shtick is she will have these seminars, and her followers who buy her CDs and buy her books on how to use the law of attraction appear, and they all line up or are hope to be called up to what they call the hot seat to explain how it's not working for them. And everybody is hoping for a chance to ask this channeled spirit why they're not getting what they want, why their heart's desire is not just coming right into their life. And of course, each time she has some variation of, it's your fault. You're thinking about it too much. You're not thinking about it enough. You're not focused properly. Whatever. It never, ever occurs to her or any of these gurus that maybe the law of attraction isn't perfect. Maybe you don't always get what you want. There's a wonderful line in a Stone song that says, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you might find you get what you need. That's another excuse. Well, the universe had a better idea of what you wanted. Well, then that's not the law of attraction. That's not your heart's desire coming to you each time. So, this law of attraction, in my opinion, needs remodeling. Because there are true things about it. There are things about it that are genuine, that do work. And there are things about it that don't. And nobody who is professing the law of attraction or teaching about it wants to examine honestly why it doesn't work all the time, and when it doesn't work, what are the factors that cause it not to work? Because nobody could sell a book that says, law of attraction, sometimes it works. That wouldn't sell. So they say, I got a method that'll make it work every time. And then, of course, when it doesn't work every time, they have the second book. But why it's not working for you, because you're screwed up and you're doing something wrong, obviously. And then, of course, maybe they'll even come out with a third book. Law of attraction, get it right this time, or whatever, I am going to put it in a nutshell. We are going to examine this in greater detail. And I'm not sure how well this is coming up in the video. Next time I'll have to draw my figures a little more thickly. But as I said, this is you, me, anybody. This is our heart's desire. In a nutshell, the reason it's not coming into our life when you want it to, sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't, is because this is not occurring in a vacuum. Okay? This is not a sealed off environment where the only things that affect each other in the universe, unless you're God, there are other forces that are in the way. There are other things that are pulling you various directions. There are things pulling your heart's desire various directions. There is momentum in the universe. And these forces are basically what I want to apply to the law of attraction. I want to show how, on a good day, when it's clear and there's nothing going on, there's no turbulence in the force, or whatever you want to call it, or if what you're asking for just happens to be moving your direction anyway, and you just happen to be in the way of it, of course it's going to come. I do believe that there is a causal effect with your thoughts. I do believe you can think about something, and either by a rational, pragmatic change in your focus and attitude, you can become aware of it, and it seems to be attracted to you. I also believe there is a magical, mystical thing that happens that can draw things to you. I'm not saying the idea is wrong. I'm saying the idea that it can happen perfectly every time is what is flawed. You can do everything right. You can have your visualization technique down, or you could have whatever you want down. You could have whatever activity, whatever New Age guru is telling you got to do. You could be doing it perfect. And it can still not work. And that is what they're not telling you. Now, am I saying then because I see reasons that it doesn't work, that it's worthless? No. My whole point, and this is what I've not been able to convince anybody, and I've taught, to a lot of people in this so-called New Age movement, that this idea has efficacy, that this idea has value, that if we know what the external forces are that affect when the law of attraction fails, then what we can do is we can change how we use the law of attraction. We can change this idea about how we visualize or what we visualize in a context that whatever it is we desire has better chances of coming to us. Okay? So, like I say, this is kind of a rough draft of what we're going to do. We're going to explore other things. I'd like to dedicate every other episode to this law of attraction idea that I have and remodeling the law of attraction so that we come up with a system that really works. And when it doesn't work, we know why. And the Wayne Dyers and the Abraham Hicks and the Michelle Knights and the Brits call this cosmic ordering, by the way. All those people, you know what? Some of them I've even addressed directly. At least one of them. They want to sell you books. They want to create a perfect world. They want to tell you it works every time. When it doesn't, it's your fault. Or here's the silliest one I've heard. Abraham Hicks uses sometimes, and I've seen other people use this. You had a pre-life arrangement. So if your life is crappy, and you're wanting good things to come to you, and they're not, well, that's because you had a pre-life arrangement that you wanted to endure a certain thing. Well, that in itself, pre-life arrangements, is an entire show about reincarnation, and we'll do that sometime. But that's just another way of saying it's your fault. So I'm here to tell you, if the law of attraction has not worked for you, it may not be your fault. It could simply be that there are a lot of external factors, some are even just simple mathematical factors that we will explain in future episodes. And in the end, I want to produce a new model for the law of attraction that I think we can all be happier with. So this is Mystic Rob. Check out my website. Hopefully I'll improve the quality of what we have going on here. I'll work on it. This is a work in progress. But I want to put some ideas forth that I hope are of value to people. Okay? Thanks for listening. Peace.